Hey, what's going on, boys and girls? Welcome back to another video. Joshua here. So my baitcaster videos have always been very popular on the channel, and I get a lot of questions and people want more in-depth tutorials on the baitcaster in general. Now, today we're going to be covering 5 mistakes to avoid when using a baitcaster. This is good for beginners and advanced users both, but if you're an advanced user, you probably already know these fairly fundamental things, but they are important. So let's take a closer look. We're going to talk about them, go down the line, and you'll be casting like a pro in no time. Let's go. So you're a frustrated angler, you're on the boat, you just got this brand new bait caster. Everyone has told you how beautiful it is and how great it is and all this stuff, and then you end up with that. And you're sitting there for hours when you're supposed to be comfortable, cool, chill, and relax in the element, just enjoying serenity. There is nothing that'll draw you away from Mother Nature like a bird's nest in a reel. So the number one tip that I can give you, and this may seem obvious, is to practice with your bait caster in the yard or before you take it to the water. If you're brand new, you don't want to just grab this thing, spool it up, and go fishing. You will not like fishing. Matter of fact, I could see you golfing, next week. So do yourself a favor, get you a casting plug, and I mean, you can use a lure, but a casting plug will allow you to cast it without snagging a child or a pet, and ultimately anything. So you can retrieve it quickly, and you can really focus on cast control and thumbing, because thumbing is very important when it comes to a bait caster. But just practicing how hard you cast, how you thumb, getting to know the fundamentals of the reel. They're super essential when you're out there on the water. In today's demonstration, guys, I'm using the brand new Akuma X Series reel. If y'all haven't seen this bait caster, it's unveiled at ICAST 2024. Very sweet. It's got 11 ball bearings, super light, real minimal profile. I feel like it just fits perfectly in the hand. It's got the EVA foam handles, really nice. I'll link that if you're interested as well. High quality reel though, definitely recommend. I covered the first tip here, okay, which is practice. The second tip, I touched on it a little bit in the first tip, and that's feathering the spool. You got to learn how to feather the spool, guys. And what do I mean by feathering the spools? You guys asked me that a lot, actually, in one of my other baitcaster tutorials. If you haven't watched that baitcaster tutorial, it's very good. So I'll link that as well, right up there, and also down in the description here. So feathering is important because it controls the speed in which the line leaves the spool. It's that simple. It's as simple as it sounds. What you're doing is lightly applying pressure on the spool with your thumb when you release. And if you don't do that, let me show you what happens. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to cast this without feathering the spool, with no thumb control essentially. So I'm not going to stop it when it hits the water. I'm not going to feather the spool too much. I may do it a little bit because it's hard for me not to do it, but I don't also want to get a bird's nest to the core. So here we go. All right, no thumbing. Oh shoot, I'm gonna stop it right there. See how without me thumbing it, I actually stopped it because this spool was spinning really fast. A lot of that has to play on the feathering of the thumb, but also the tension knob. If you don't adjust your tension knob and get familiar with the settings on your reel, you're going to have this problem. But the truth of the matter is, you really don't need anything adjusted, tension knob or brakes or anything, if you're really good with feathering the spool. Now, I highly recommend you set the tension knob and you make those adjustments because it only takes a little bit of time and it really helps aid in your cast and prevents frustrations. And guys, if you haven't seen my how to remove a bird's nest, there are a couple different techniques. Right now I'm just picking at it because this isn't a very bad one, believe it or not. They get a lot worse. But if you want to see that video, I'll leave it down in the description and I'll link it up in the top right hand corner there. Just make sure you watch that after you watch this. So what you want to do is, if you're picking on it, you want to finesse it. And this is where the patience part comes in, and I don't have a lot of it. So what you want to do is essentially rock back and forth. You don't want to pull it hard, because when you do that, you're actually going to be causing damage and creases to your line, which ultimately causes weak spots. And of course, our luck, we do this, guys, and we lose a 20-pound bass or striper or whatever you're using your bait caster for. That's not what we want. So you want to pull this out, thumb it until you get to the very last of the line that's loose. Now let me show you the difference here. I'm going to leave all the settings the same, and we're going to redo that with feathering. Also, if you enjoyed today's tip, if you want to help me out, I really appreciate if you can like, comment, and share. If you know someone that needs assistance or help with how to cast a baitcaster, share this video to them and comment. Let me know if it helps you. That type of information is really gratifying. It's nice to know that my content is helping you guys to do a little better out in the water. So now we're going to do this. Remove the bird's nest. We're going to feather this baby. Before it hits the water, go ahead and stop it. And that's going to eliminate a lot of the problems. All right, so you can see that the result is quite drastically different when you can feather your spool and make that cast. So let's move on to number 3 and keep on getting to perfection with your bait caster. All right, so we've covered 2 important tips. Number 3, casting too hard. I know you guys want to be big tough guys and you want to cast that thing 4 football fields because you feel like the fish are way out there. The irony behind that, guys, I swear, I see this on surf fishing all the time. You get the guy that wants to go, and in some instances you have to get past the bar, right, to find those fish. But a lot of times those snook and stuff and pompano are right there next to their feet. I'm sitting there watching snook swim through people's legs at the beach. They don't even have a clue. And then I see the fisherman chucking it 85 yards out past the second bar. So sometimes it's the finesse cast with control, well, most of the time, that's going to allow you to be better off with your bait caster. So in other words, you don't need a lot of brute force. You want to let the rod aid the cast. You want to feather the spool, and you don't want a lot of jerking or erratic action. So you essentially want to get that beautiful like parabolic bend and let the rod's energy help you to get the lure a long distance, instead of just casting it with all your strength and all of your body. And I've covered this before actually on a previous bait casting video, where I showed you that a lot of guys, y'all get out here and you're using your whole body to make those casts. Well, when you do that and you're not really proficient with the bait casters, is where you're going to be very angry. Very angry. Like Hulk angry. So what I'm getting at is, as you're practicing and you're getting more and more familiar with your gear and just how the reel itself works. And guys, I know a lot of you want to argue that you don't need a bait caster, you know, if you got a spinning reel and that type of thing. I think there's a place for both. I really do, you know. So maybe I'll cover that on another video, but there's definitely a place for both types of reels. So when I like to cast, I'm very controlled. I use a lot more of my wrist than anything. I'm not using a lot of my shoulder or my back and my arms and things like that. And I can cover a large distance. One of the key things is too, is not to have too long, like from your rod tip down to your lure. You don't want it to be too long and you don't want it to be too short. That 10 to 12 inch range always seems to work well and helps you get the momentum that you need for that long cast. What you want to do is you want to make sure your lure is 10 to 12 inches from your rod. You're going to feather this reel, you know, just like I showed you in the prior step. But you'll notice, so I'm right-handed, I'm holding the reel with my right hand, and I'm grabbing with the rod butt with my left hand. This motion right here is all that you really need. You don't need a lot of back, you don't need a lot of leg, and it's gonna fly a long distance. Now, if you're left-handed, you do the opposite. You'd be holding the reel with your left hand and the butt of the rod with your right hand. But watch how seamless this is and how smooth. That estimation, 45-yard cast maybe, 40-yard, somewhere around there. And there was really no effort. I didn't use a lot of energy. I didn't try to force it. But if you do that, you're just gonna be that much happier on the water. And I'm telling you, I literally have hundreds of comments, guys, of people throwing their bait casters in the lake. Hundreds. If you don't believe me, go check out this video. So guys, number 4, on every bait caster that I've ever owned, there are some simple mechanisms that help you to cast and cast well. One of them being what they call the tension knob. The tension knob is usually found on the right, I'm right-handed, on the right side of the reel. What this does is essentially slows down or speeds up the spool. So the tighter it gets, the slower the spool spins. The looser it gets, the faster it spins. So it's pretty, you know, and it's very important. To be honest, I find that what I'm adjusting most of the time is going to be my tension knob, and this is going to be based off of how hard I am throwing it and also the weight of the lure. Now, also on a lot of bait casters, especially, you know, most of the higher end ones, you're going to have a brake system that opens on the left hand side. Obviously, if it's a right-handed or a left-handed reel, everything's going to be the opposite of what I'm showing you. But you're going to see when this opens up, there's different types of brakes. Centrifugal, there's magnetic, there's all kinds of different brakes. So you're going to want to do the research on here. And you can make minute adjustments that really help control the revolutions of your spool, which ultimately mitigate bird's nest, and that's what we want. We don't want no bird's nest. So each reel has different tools, and usually they're all fairly similar. It's not rocket science by any means, guys, so don't let me spook you off. Just because you see this one have a certain one, you may find Shimano or Daiwa has a different style, but they're all very similar. So make sure you're learning about the key essentials of the reel. I mean, just the fundamentals of the reel. These are things that you need to know before you go out and just start slinging baits. Really simple, gonna be a lifesaver. Learn it before you go to the water. Let's talk about number 5, the very last tip for this episode. All right, so here we go. The 5th tip on what to avoid when using a bait caster. Now, this one sounds like it may be very obvious, but a lot of people overlook it. They want to go right to super braids and put them on these reels because that's what's popular now. However, I recommend that you stick with monofilament, anywhere from 12 to 17 pound test line as a beginner. The braid has a tendency to be a lot more difficult to work with, especially if you're not familiar with the tool. So this is a pretty essential tip, actually. I find even that it's easier to work with monofilament, much easier. But, you know, you do lose things such as sensitivity, you get a lot of stretch. So depending on what type of fishing you're doing, you know, it is sometimes beneficial to have braid. You just want to wait until you get used to using your bait caster, and you'll be happy that you did. Once you become proficient with it, you could change it, upgrade to the braids, and you know, the lighter lures and things like that, and you're going to be able to do a lot better. Now, if you like this video and you want to see a part 2 on what not to do with your bait caster video, comment below, let me know, and maybe we'll do a part 2 on that. But make sure you check out that playlist of all the other bait casters, especially if you're just starting out. They're packed with information that I think that'll really get you started in the right direction. Matter of fact, I know they will. I literally had thousands of comments from people on quite a few of my videos with bait casters thanking me and telling me how much they've been of great help. So with that being said, if you want to check out this reel, I'll leave the link down in the description. If you have any comments or suggestions, let me know below. And until next time, we'll see you on the water.